This film shows Mrs. Gordon returning to her GP for the result of a blood test. This is unexpectedly positive for hepatitis C. In this type of emotional situation, when patients are stunned and confused, it is vital to ensure that everything has been understood. It may be a help to write down pieces of information or arrange a follow-up phone call. As you will see, using Teach back in this situation provided an opportunity to correct a misunderstanding about a vital follow-up appointment.
Come in, Mrs. Gordon. Have a seat.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Well, still a bit tired.
Are you?
Yeah.
Are you? So I got you back to give you the results of the blood test that we took last time. Remember that we took some blood tests initially and they showed that your liver was a little bit inflamed, which can be a cause for you feeling a bit tired. So we did these extra blood tests to see if there was any reason that we could find for your liver being a bit inflamed that might also explain why you're a bit tired. And I think we have turned up a reason on the blood tests. One of the blood tests we did was for an infection called hepatitis C. Do you remember that we discussed that the last time?
Is that something to do with my liver?
It is. It's an infection of the liver. And that's the test that's come back positive. It shows that you have an infection with a virus called hepatitis C.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, a virus infection is like the same type of thing that gives you a cold, but this is a virus that affects the liver. And it causes the liver to become inflamed and eventually, over a long period of time, can damage the liver. And we're seeing a little bit of sign of that in the original blood tests. And I think it's probably a reason about why you've been feeling tired.
Okay.
The reason that we did the blood test is because hepatitis C is something that nowadays we can treat. So it's important we know about it. And now we do know about it, we can get you referred to a specialist to get some treatment for the hepatitis C.
How could I have got this hepatitis C?
Okay, that's something that I think it's important to talk about. One of the things about hepatitis C is it can be in your body for a long time and you don't really know you've got it. It's a very quiet infection in the body for a long time. So this may be something that you've got a long time ago. I'm going to tell you what the risks are for hepatitis C and see if you think that you might have been at risk. It could have been even a long time ago. I have to say to you that in this country, in Scotland, the commonest cause for people getting hepatitis C is through them injecting drugs. So that's people who are using drugs, not that doctors give them, but that they've bought themselves. At any time in the past, have you ever used any kind of drugs, not prescribed drugs, but ones that you might have bought?
What kind of drugs? I mean, sort of in particular?
Well, I suppose the commonest one in this country would be using heroin, but people can inject lots of other types of drugs, cocaine. There is also possibly a risk from even using cocaine when people snort it, using through their nose.
And is this a lot of times? Do people have to use it a lot?
No, you can even, that's one of the unfortunate things about hepatitis C, is that even doing that once, even a long time ago, could have put you at risk. Do you think you ever could have been at risk in that way?
I mean, a lot of my friends. I mean, we used to experiment when we were at uni. I mean, could that be something that?
That possibly could have been, yes. Okay. Do you think you ever injected drugs in the past? Maybe you don't really remember. No. Okay, we don't need to go into that. I think the important thing is that we know that you have the virus now and we can do something about it. There are a couple of other ways people can get it. If you've ever had a blood transfusion, not recently, but have you ever had a blood transfusion a long time ago?
No.
Or have you ever been abroad and had to have any medical treatment abroad, particularly in, not in a European country, but maybe in Asia or Africa?
No,
You've never had
no.
that? Okay, okay. I think, as I say, I think the important thing is that we now know you've got the virus, and the other important thing is this is a virus that there's treatment for. What I don't know from the test that I've done is how long you've had it for, or how much it's affected your liver. And I think now we need to refer you to a specialist to get them to do some more tests on your liver and to talk to you about the treatment for the virus.
Okay. Is it contagious? I mean, is this contagious? Is how you're saying it was through drugs? I mean, how do you get it? How does it get into your body?
It's what we call a bloodborne virus, which means the commonest way of it being passed on is through something that introduces blood from someone else into your bloodstream, and that's why injecting or a blood transfusion abroad you could have been at risk. I think it's important that you've asked about whether it's infectious, and obviously it is something that you can pass on to people, but not through normal day-to-day activities. So the people who live with you are at very low risk of having this virus.
Do they have to be do they have to be tested?
Well, who is at home with you? Can you remind me?
Just my husband and my children.
Your husband and your children. How old are your children now?
They're 15 and 13.
15 and 13. The advice is that people at home should have a test done for this, although the risk is low.
So if I've had this for a very long time, could the children be at risk? Because obviously with, birth and things like that.
Potentially hepatitis C can be passed from mother to baby, to unborn baby, but it's actually a very rare occurrence. It's a very low risk of that, but it is a possibility, and that's one of the reasons why we would suggest that we do need to think about asking your husband and children to get tested.
Okay.
I think it is important to say that the risk to them is very low, and that's not something that we have to make a decision about straight away, and we can talk to you about how we bring it up with them, but it is something we do need to think about.
Okay.
In the meantime, the only precautions that we suggest are that you shouldn't be doing anything like, sounds a bit funny, but using your husband's razor to shave your legs, so no sharing of razors, and probably no sharing of toothbrushes, to be extra cautious as well.
Okay. And if I've done that in the past with my family?
Then the risk from that is really low, but it is another reason why we should think at some point about asking them to get tested as well.
Okay.
The other thing that we should talk about is what you can do for yourself to protect your liver. You have an infection that's making it a bit inflamed, and you don't want to do anything on top of that. And I suppose the main thing about that is about alcohol. Do you drink?
Not much.
Not much. In an average week, how many nights might you have a glass of alcohol?
I might have a couple of glasses with my husband, or if we go out with friends, we tend to have dinner, or we go out and have meals in people's houses and stuff like that. So we tend to
How many nights a week might that be?
It really depends. It might be one or two, or maybe holiday. Obviously, Christmas is a bit more.
So you're certainly not a heavy drinker.
No.
I mean, the advice is that as little alcohol as you can take, the better, just to protect your liver. But the odd glass of wine isn't going to be a major problem.
Okay.
So, as I said to you, the most important thing is that this is a virus that we can treat. And the next stage, if you're agreeable, is for me to make a referral to the infectious diseases unit, who are the specialists in treating this infection. And they will send you an appointment, and usually they'll see you pretty quickly, and they will do some more tests than I've done. They'll also repeat the blood tests just to make absolutely sure about the infection, although the blood test is almost certainly correct. That's really just a precaution to double check that. And they will talk to you about the treatment that's available. And we can cure this virus in many cases. We can get rid of it from your body, and that's it gone.
And can that happen very quickly? I mean, how do you get rid of this?
Well, there is treatment, and it is successful. I have to say to you that the treatment is over quite a lengthy period of time. It may be between 6 months and even a year of treatment to clear this. and the treatment involves two different things. It involves taking tablets by mouth, but also having a weekly injection of something called interferon.
Okay.
So it's not the most straightforward treatment in the world, and I would let you know that it does have some side effects. It can actually make you feel a bit fluey sometimes, but the important thing is at the end of it that it has a very good chance of getting rid of the virus from your body, and I think you really want to give yourself a go at doing that.
Yeah, yeah. And can I work when I'm on this treatment?
Yeah, it depends how you feel, but there's no reason why we should assume that you can't work. If you did get any side effects from the treatment, then we can deal with those and help with them. And if at any point you felt that you weren't up to work, we can obviously sign you off at that point. But there's no reason why. Can I just ask what kind of work you do?
9 to 5 office work.
Okay, yeah. No, there's no reason to think that you shouldn't be able to work if you want to during the treatment.
Okay.
Quite a lot to take on board, I'm aware.
Yeah. All I can think about are sort of, I've got lots of questions that I really...
I'm sure you do, I'm sure you do. And I think what we should do is arrange to meet up again, maybe next week sometime, because you'll think of lots of things the minute you go out of here.
And can I come back and maybe bring my husband, can I bring my husband in? Would that,
of course, of course.
Would that be all right?
What do you feel about talking to your husband about this? Because you could bring him back here and we could tell him about it together if you wanted.
Well, I'm really worried about that because this is, I don't understand sort of where this has come from, you know, you know, you're saying it's infection, you know, that it can be passed on and things like that. Can it be passed on through sex?
There's a very low risk of sexual transmission of hepatitis C. So that's actually something that I think that I don't think you should get too worried about, because the risk of transmission is so low that there's often been couples who've lived together for a long time and there's been absolutely no transmission through sex. So the risk of that is very, very low.
So would it be all right if I brought him back and then maybe we could talk about all this together?
Yeah, I'm very happy to do that. And we can give, what I'll do today is I'll give you some information where you can, this tells you about hepatitis C, but it also tells you where you can find out more. There's some very good things on the web about it.
Okay.
And do you think that you'd rather that we told your husband together, or do you think you might want to speak to him on your own in the week coming?
Can I just, I need to think about that.
Yeah, of course, of course.
I think...
I mean, maybe what I'll do is I'll give you a ring in a couple of days. We'll make the appointment and then I'll give you a ring in a couple of days. You can say how you're feeling about that, just so that I know when you're coming back whether we need to tell him together or whether you've spoken to him beforehand.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to ask?
How long does it take before I see the consultant? How long does...
Usually pretty quick. I'll make the referral today by email, and in my experience they'll see you within a couple of weeks for this, just because they don't have a waiting list.
Oh, okay.
So it shouldn't be long at all. Yeah, I know it's a lot to take on. Can I ask you, what do you think are the most important things that I've said to you today, just to make sure that I've been clear?
That there's treatment.
Definitely there's treatment. There's treatment.
And that the risk of infection to my family is low.
Low.
You have told me the ways in which I could have got this infection, and that's worrying me. Is that side of things?
I mean, for me, the most important thing about that is that you're not putting yourself at risk now. What's happened in the past has given you this infection, but now we know about it, we can deal with it, and the important thing is that you don't put yourself at risk now from that.
Yes. Well, yes. Okay.
Good. So what we'll do is we'll make the appointment for next week. And what about if I phone you 2 days' time? Would that be okay?
Yes, please.
I've got a mobile for you. Is that okay?
Yes.
Is that number okay to use?
Yes.
You're okay to take a phone call on that?
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, so we'll come out and make the appointment at the front desk.
Thank you.